You're watching the Western Athletic Conference on ESPN. Happy Saturday night from Abilene, Texas and Moody Coliseum. The backdrop for this good matchup, an important one in the WAC. UT Arlington coming on over from DFW to take on Abilene Christian. And out welcome courtside, everybody. Zach Carlisle with Cohen Carpenter, McKenna Holman, Joseph Chapa, the whole gang. Glad to have you with us. Well, if there's anything as a must-win, it might be tonight. Abilene Christian has dropped 3 in a row. UT Arlington, however, playing much better, 2 straight wins. This is a huge game tonight.
Yeah, you hate to throw out the term must-win in January, but it's kind of appropriate in this situation. Both of these teams are in different phases of their conference play. As you mentioned, the Mavericks, they're picking it up. Wildcats, not so much. Going to our impact players, we're going to have Shamar Wilson for the Mavericks, Tobias Cameron for the Wildcats. These are both spark plugs in their own right, but they get it done in different ways. 3-point line for Cameron, and it's the double-double for Shamar Wilson.
Yeah, these two may decide this game tonight between UTA and ACU. UTA, a new member of the WAC this year. For more on that, let's send it over to the third member of our team, McKenna Holman.
Thanks, guys. This is the Mavericks' first trip to Abilene since joining the Western Athletic Conference last summer. They were a member of the Sun Belt Conference for the last 8 years, in which they won 4 conference championships and earned 2 NCAA tournament appearances across all athletic programs. Guys, back to you.
McKenna, thank you very much. First meeting in Abilene between these two teams since 1973. Not that far apart. Arlington and Abilene. UTA and ACU, away we go. Glad you're with us tonight. Off we go for Moody Coliseum. The Wildcats will start with it. You see the starters, Cash, Weaver, Gibson, Castro, and then our impact player, Wilson. See the ACU starting 5. We have an out of bounds here. Daniels and Cameron, Simmons, Allen, and Pleasant for the Wildcats. Starting lineup, they've kept it the same this last couple of games. UTA now playing really at an all-time high for these last couple of games, playing about as well as they could have hoped this time of year. They kind of got rid of the 0-5 start. They won 2 straight in WAC play, and they've got it for their first possession here. Weaver denied. 8 on the timer. Gibson, yes. Quality start for the Mavs.
And already in that first possession, we're kind of seeing the Wildcats' woes, especially offensively. They missed a 3 and then they turned it over, and that led directly to Maverick points. They're going to have to quit that if they want to turn this season around.
Abilene Christian, meanwhile, 3 consecutive losses, a big one for Brett Tanner's squad tonight. Can they get some offense going early, coming off of just 54 points in a loss to Utah Valley? During the midweek, Joe Pleasant no good, and the rebound to Aaron Cash.
Going to be asking a lot of Joe Pleasant here today, one of the taller guys in that Wildcat lineup. He's going to have to try to out-rebound Shamar Wilson. We talked about him, our impact player.
Sharpshooter, it's Cash. No good. Hit 6 threes in Thursday's win over UTRGV. Offline to start the night here. Arion Simmons, his first look at a 3. Ball tapped around to Pedro Castro. We're talking a little bit coming in. I think we're going to know a lot about this game early on with the way that UT Arlington's been playing as of late and the way Abilene Christian has been playing as
Mavericks
of late.
so far, past 2 games, we've talked about their winning ways. Seems to have a lot more confidence. Can't say that for the Wildcats.
Cash well offline again, 0 for 2.
So far, though, good back and forth. Wildcats just need to make a field goal. That's what's been trouble in the past few games.
Offensive challenges. Pleasant nearly threw it away. And Damian Daniels has 15 to operate. Here goes the lefty into the paint. Abilene Christian on the board.
What is a really hopeful sign for this Wildcat offense especially, and something that's never really wavered throughout the season, has been their ability to share the ball, passing it around. They're still among the best teams in NCAA when it comes to assists and assist-to-turnover ratio. Looking to keep that together. Again, it's just about finding those open shots or creating good looks like Damian Daniels did just there.
Got a foul at this end. UT Arlington and head coach Greg Young in his second year as the head coach, but he's been around a long time, 14th straight season at UTA, longtime assistant, promoted to associate, took over a couple of years ago. He's got his team playing good basketball. As a young team, it was going to take maybe the semester to get things going, and they are playing as confident as they ever have so far this season. On the baseline is Shamar Wilson, charge.
And that's going to be, as we take a look at the head coach for the Wildcats, Brett Tanner.
Yeah, he's also in his second season. Again, longtime assistant, associate, now the head guy in his second year with the team, and they're trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. It's a huge game tonight for Brett Tanner.
Yeah, and I think what's really good for them, too, is they've established dominance at Moody, at the very least. When they're at home, they're very good, looking to continue that streak, especially if they're going to get back into it in conference play.
Had their first home loss last time out in an incredible game against Southern Utah, 74-72. The Thunderbirds won that game. That started the 3-game skid. They lost the 4-game skid, rather. They are trying to snap at 3 straight road losses for ACU.
Got a good crowd tonight. Again, those 3 road losses on the road. They've been better at home, so looking maybe get a little Abilene juice, get them going here.
Ali Deba, number 20, into the game for ACU. Just a 3-2 start, nearly 4 minutes in. Kyron Gibson, another 3.
First made 3 of the game right there, and that's going to go in favor of the Mavericks. And we're already kind of seeing the heavy substitution game plan that Brett Tanner's been utilizing.
Simmons hits one to answer. That felt big early on to get him a 3.
Maybe to establish some sort of rhythm here coming in. They've obviously tried that 3 ball. It's the first one to land for the Wildcats, but Arion Simmons, there's a lot of good shooters on this Wildcat team. It's just a matter of time before they get going.
Kendall Weaver thought he made attack of the baseline. Montez Young Jr. off the bench and into the game, the sophomore. Now Gibson will kick it, and a corner 3 offline from Pedro Castro. Shot clock violation and a timeout on the floor. UTA up 1. We are early on. This is going to be a fun night at Moody Coliseum.
WAC Vegas. More teams, more games. The 2023 Hercules Tires WAC Basketball Tournament. March 6th through the 11th at the Michelob Ultra Arena and the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. For ticket information, go to wacsports.com.
The world needs more light bringers and courageous leaders who inspire us, game changers and risk takers who never play small, creative thinkers and God seekers who uplift us. You see, the future is ours to create. We hold it in our hearts. We mold it with our hands. We light the fire within.
Time now for our keys to the game, brought to you by your Greater Texas Ford dealers.
Yeah, so Abilene Christian, we've talked about it, but it's got to be nail the 3. In this losing streak that they've been on, this 4-game losing streak, they haven't shot better than 26%. UT Arlington, it's going to be crash the glass. They have to control the rebounding game. Shamar Wilson's going to be a big part of that.
Physicality, careless fouls as well. Abilene Christian with the possession, down by 1. Let's check in with the 4th member of our team tonight, Joseph Chapa on the sideline.
Well, hey, Zach and Cohen, you guys mentioned that this game will kind of be determined here early on, and I think these defensive styles between UTA and ACU have a lot to do that. One of the defensive leaders for ACU, point guard Damian Daniels, is on record watch. He needs 16 steals to break the all-time steals record held by Jalen Franklin, who is an ACU Hall of Famer from 2015 to 2019. Let's see how Damian Daniels and the ACU defense can lead this team against UTA.
Some defense coming the other way. Joseph, thank you very much. And then the block at this end for UTA. So the steal, you thought maybe they'd turn that into a basket. Deny.
Ball stolen right there. Again, we mentioned how much of a spark plug Tobias Cameron, and he's able to feed Arion Simmons, but it's Weaver able to track him down LeBron style all the way across the court.
Into the paint, Ali Diba having a nice first year with ACU.
And it's going to be very important for this Wildcats offense to diversify their shot selection. And I think we're seeing a good amount of that from players like Ali Diba, who do a good job of that quasi-sky hook thing, getting really close to the hoop and able to lay it in, make the shot a lot easier for them, especially when that three ball isn't going their way.
Gives Abilene Christian the lead for the first time. Meanwhile, Gibson, who's got all 6 so far for the Mavericks, trying to spread the level a little bit. And when they've missed threes, they've been very off. That's Brandon Talbot, no good. Daniels doesn't go in almost. He almost had an and one. He's going to shoot a couple of free throws.
I mean, other than Gibson, we've been talking about the Wildcats shooting woes, but other than Gibson, the Mavericks really haven't been able to put anything together either.
Daniels scored the first points of the game for ACU, and he's at the line here. The 5th-year senior out of Kansas City. This is his 149th career game tonight. They go to the postseason every year, deep tournament runs. Even in a year they got canceled in the March Madness run in 2020, he's still 150 games coming up here.
And what does that say about the coaching staff and the culture here at ACU, able to keep a guy as talented as Damian Daniels around for that long, especially in the era of the transfer portal where it seems like nobody's in one place for long.
He has officially crossed the 800-point plateau for his career. Came in with 799. Double dribble on Talbot and a turnover on the Mavericks.
That's the thing that they've done really good. We've talked about that 2-game winning streak. They've done a really good job of protecting the ball. Obviously not right there, but those offensive rebounds, keeping possessions alive, and playing smart basketball is what the Mavericks have done to find success recently.
Hard to do against this Abilene Christian defense. It's been notorious over the years for taking the ball away. Hunter Jack Madden, rising fire, cashes it in.
And again, it's not the 3 ball, but they're getting these other shots to work. A little step up. He found a shot that he liked, and he took it. Starting to come alive for this ACU offense.
This will be interesting at this end. UTA 13 turnovers a game. Abilene Christian, well, they forced 19, already 4 for the Mavericks. 7 on the timer. Brandon Walker's got it. Cameron Steele defending, the step back, can't convert it. Cash is there, going to the ground for the rebound, but Daniels takes it from him.
And again, other than Gibson, this Mavericks team has not been able to find the bottom of that hoop.
Steele could be a big spark plug, number 5 in Gray, in terms of just making a couple of big shots. Charge on Emmanuel Allen. Offensive foul and a turnover for ACU.
Got a big head of steam going there. Maybe lost his footing, a little too much of his body weight went flying into the defender, and gonna get that foul called 9 times out of 10.
Take a look at it one more time. A little out of control from Allen.
A little out of control, but he's the leading scorer for this Wildcats team, and he's gonna try to do things to get this offense rejuvenated, especially after they've had a pretty poor performance in this 4-game skid that they've been on.
Looks like they're going to look at the leg of Emmanuel Allen, so he takes a seat. Ja'Shawn Jackson, number 2, out there defending. Talbot open for 3. Boy, outside of the 2 triples from Gibson, and he's trying to add to it, short on the baseline.
So far, they've kind of been playing Mavericks basketball in terms of getting those offensive rebounds and keeping possessions alive. They just haven't been able to make the shots. Let's take a look at Tobias Cameron going down low.
Can ACU figure this out here? Joe Pleasant, powerful. Steal, awkward catch. Offensive rebound. And then steal, a little finger roll.
A little finger roll, and this is really what's hopeful for this Wildcats offense. We talked about the diversification of shot selection. That's what they're doing right now. The three ball obviously is not going their way, so they're getting a little closer, making the shot a little easier, and it's working out for them.
We're going to get back to the offensive rebounding story in just a second. Turnover on UTA. We'll talk about it on the other side. It's a 12-6 Abilene Christian lead here at home.
I always dreamed of doing something that would make a difference, and so getting as much knowledge as possible was important to me. I love the fact that you can dream a new reality and then see it come true with hard work. Today, I know I'm making a difference, and a big part of seeing my dream come true was when I got my master's at ACU.
Get your undergraduate or graduate degree online at Abilene Christian.
For years, I trained to be the best linebacker on the field. That drive made me a top performer at the NFL Combine, and I played 5 seasons in the NFL. Now I'm working toward another dream, building my own business, training athletes to help improve their performance. I want to be the best businessman I can, so I'm getting my MBA at ACU.
Get your degree online at acu.edu.
Abilene Christian in front by 6 over UTA. We remind you, Tuesdays on ESPN Plus, get in-depth coverage of all things Abilene Christian men's basketball. It's the Brett Tanner Show, presented by ACU TV every Tuesday at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on ESPN Plus and the ESPN app. Well, going right now, it's a 10-0 ACU run here in 4.5 minutes. We haven't had a ton of offense so far, but it's really been all ACU for the last handful.
It's really been all ACU, and it's kind of been uncharacteristic Maverick basketball. We were talking about how meticulous they were on offense, and they've had 6 turnovers in the last 7 minutes. It hasn't been going their way offensively. We've talked about their shooting woes, turnover woes. They've got to get something going if they want to put points on the board.
We talked about offensive rebounding a little bit too. Arion Simmons, his second three. That's a good sign for ACU fans.
Yeah, really good sign. Again, we were talking about how there's a lot of shooters on this team, and there's a lot of shooters in a drought on this team. Arion Simmons being one of them. Good to see him get back into the downtown game.
Gibson has it here. Stolen away.
And we were talking about Joe Pleasant earlier, too, the hidden role that he may have in the paint. Again, one of the veterans.
Well, outside there, no good for Simmons.
Joe Pleasant being one of the veterans, one of the taller guys in that starting rotation. He's going to be the main man on Shamar Wilson. We talked about him. He's our impact player, and he's done a good job so far keeping Shamar Wilson in check, getting steals, getting rebounds.
At this end, UTA is going to need to keep offensive rebounding. They've done an incredible job all year, 14 per game on the offensive glass. Top 3 in the country in that category. They're going to have to do that tonight, but they haven't had many chances.
Yeah. Again, I mean, you can get the offensive rebounds, and there's Tobias Cameron.
Backdoor, Simmons to Cameron.
Tobias Cameron, we said he's a spark plug. He gets it done on both ends, and he's really one of those guys who the play on the court is only so much of his game, because as you see right there, he gets the stadium fired up and he gets the bench fired up. That's what he does.
Timeout, UT Arlington. It's a 15-0 run for Abilene Christian in the last 6 minutes. All Wildcats with this 11-point lead. We'll keep it right here. Let's check in with Joseph Chapa down on the sideline.
Well, hey guys, earlier in this ball game, we saw Emmanuel Allen for the Wildcats He hobbled a little bit with his leg. I went over to the training table where Maya Notori, one of the athletic trainers for ACU, is tending to his leg. He's in and out of huddles, in and out of timeouts. Emmanuel Allen, get this, he's so excited that no matter if he's hobbled a little bit, he wants to be involved in this game. He wants to talk to his teammates. He wants to talk to Coach Tanner and the crew. No status, I'm told, left on his game, but it'll only be a matter of time before maybe we see Emmanuel Allen help this Wildcat secure the W here against UTA.
Well done, Joseph. Yes, they're going to need him. He's their leading scorer for the season, but that's a thing of beauty. Simmons to Cameron right there.
Yeah, great field vision, or I guess court vision, with Arion Simmons able to find Tobias Cameron down low, really threading the needle with that pass there.
Meanwhile, at this end, the Mavericks searching for answers. Gibson's been the answer. He's got all 9 now, all 3 triples for the Mavs.
And if you're a Mavs fan, I mean, it's great that Gibson's having a great game, but you're going to need a few more great games from this Mavericks roster. It can't just be Gibson getting it done, and you can't get into that hero mindset, especially if you're Gibson, of putting the team on your back.
Another backdoor. It's Simmons again, this time Ali Diva on the receiving end.
And, I mean, not a lot you can say. Coach Young over there for the Mavericks going palms up, never a good sign for a head coach especially, but just struggling to get it done on offense, and they're leaving a lot of open doors wide open on defense.
Talbot looking. Here comes Shamar Wilson. We haven't talked about him very much outside of coming on the air tonight. ACU takes it away. There's Pleasant off of his hands, out of bounds.
Yeah, and Shamar Wilson, one of the leading scorers for this Mavericks team. He leads the team and is actually second in the WAC with 5 double-doubles. He has all of the team's double-doubles. So, like we said, he's that spark plug. Gets it done on offense, gets it done on defense, and especially in the paint. But we haven't seen anything but turnovers from him today.
There is just so much talent on this floor.
Yeah.
On both sides. UTA's got a ton of talent. Marion Humphrey running point right now, the redshirt junior out of Alabama. Weaver and company as well. Stolen away initially and then a foul. It's a foul first before the ball was poked free. It's on Tobias Cameron.
But how about that bench reaction there? When you're watching these interviews, they're saying that this is one of the most tight-knit ACU groups that they have. As we take a look at the replay, look at that foul. Look at the bench reaction. Everyone's excited, everyone's arguing. The foul doesn't go their way, and they laugh it off. This is one of the most tight-knit ACU groups, and that's what's going to get them through this rut that they're currently in.
UTA 1 for their last 9 from the floor. Humphrey trying to get that changed around. Young had it poked free. Daniels up ahead, contacted, and one.
Now, they say that defense leads to offense, and Arion Simmons just proved it right there. He's running around, Emmanuel Allen gets the ball, feeds Damian Daniels, and an immaculate and one play down there, finishing in the paint and getting Abilene on their feet.
Timeout on the floor. So we approach 8 minutes to go at this 21-9 game and a 19-3 run now for Abilene Christian in nearly 8 minutes. It's been all Wildcats right now.
Really been all Wildcats as we take a look at the replay here. Obviously, it was Arion Simmons that started the commotion. Emmanuel Allen comes up with it. And once Damian Daniels has an open court in front of him, there's not much he can do.
Abilene Christian running away with this 12-point lead, 21-9. A little bit of history between these two teams. Let's send it over to McKenna Holman.
In their previous matchup last season at UTA, ACU beat UTA in overtime, 80-71, thanks to Emmanuel Allen's game-tying three-pointer at the buzzer to force the game into overtime. This was the Wildcats' first win of the season and Brett Tanner's first win as Division I head coach. Back to you guys.
McKenna, thank you. Yeah, that was quite a moment last year, game number 3 of the season. We were over there in Arlington, a spectacular game that went to OT after the Allen 3, and Abilene Christian ended up outscoring them in the overtime period to hold on by 9, and it's a foul here at this end. Not much of a good start this time, however, for UTA. They've really struggled to get things going offensively.
Yeah, really struggled. We take a look at the replay. They've struggled to get things going offensively, and I think over that timeout, what Coach Young is saying to his guys is you just need to slow down. It seems almost as if anyone seems that they have a good look, they're immediately attacking the basket. They need to pass the ball around. They need to get players their hands on the ball, try to get assists, try to catch that ACU defense overextended, get something going that isn't just Gibson throwing stuff up from downtown.
Kendall Weaver at the line, a freshman out of Mansfield, Texas. Does the last name sound familiar, basketball fans? How about his sister Kennedy Weaver? Plays for the Los Angeles Sparks. WNBA player.
How about
spectacular, talented family. He's a fun one to watch too. At UTA, 8.5 points a game. 2 big free throws, it feels like, just to get him into double figures, cut it to 22-11.
Get somebody else scoring that isn't Gibson.
Simmons steps out. His first half's going pretty well. Offline there, Young with the board. Gibson again. Gibson again!
All right. And I stand correct. I was saying pass it around, but if Gibson, I mean, if he's going off, feed him the ball.
12 of the 14, the only field goals in the game for the Mavericks have come from Gibson. Now it's Simmons. He's starting to do some things. No, it is a charge. Offensive foul on Simmons. Well done to take it inside.
Take a look at the replay here, Arion Simmons. It looks like good 2 feet set by the defender right there. Walker, good call.
Brandon Walker, the freshman out of Oak Cliff, Texas. Another true freshman, a young, inexperienced team, lots of newcomers.
And you've got to wonder how much that newness of the team, if that's a word, is contributing to a few of these woes, maybe the turnovers, maybe not on the same page playbook-wise.
And there can be some good to that because it's kind of you don't know what you don't know, and it doesn't really matter because you take every game the same, but sometimes that experience really does matter in conference games. Inside and one, Montez Young Jr. A little bit of contact, able to convert it.
Foul called on the Wildcats on Cameron Steele.
Take a look at the replay here. Waiting under the basket, left him open, and there he is. Chance for a 3-point play here. But yeah, we were talking about the ages of these two rosters. UTA definitely on the younger side. ACU, a lot of veterans. We were talking about Damian Daniels. We were talking about Cameron Steele. Obviously, Joe Pleasant, he's been around. Tobias Cameron. So it's really a battle of the ages here, and it's going to be Coach Young, that man right there, is going to have to figure out how to reel in his lack of experience, but expose the lack of youth on the court.
Yeah, think about this. Daniels, 5th year. Cameron, 6th year. Steele, 3rd year. Simmons, 4th year. Allen, 4th year. Pleasant was here for 3, came back. There's a lot of experience just even in the starting 5 for Abilene Christian, and that's where you feel like they can get this 4-game losing streak turned around a little bit. Walker into the paint again. Here come the Mavericks. They have started to get things going.
They've really started to get things going here, and they've, as amazing shot right there. Emmanuel Allen. Fallen down, able to get that in.
What do you feel like has changed at this end, however, for UTA?
It's been a lot of kind of the same, but they're just getting the shots to fall. Obviously, we've seen Gibson's dominance, but they've been passing the ball. They've been kind of getting ACU to back off of them a little bit on defense, and they're getting shots like that to land. Again, there's Young Jr. right under the net, and he's getting his shots to fall too. So taking the pressure off Gibson a little bit offensively.
Not as many turnovers as well. They're taking care of it better. Steele gonna go for Daniels. Gonna knife his way through. He's incredible. And one for Daniels. I don't know how those shots continue to go for 5 years.
It's amazing. He just decides that he is going to knife it down the middle from the 3-point line, and there's not a lot that the defenders can do. That's a 2-on-1 right there, and he makes it look easy going to the line for the 3-point play.
It's a Swiss Army knife. I mean, that's just incredible. Have a chance at a 3-point play now for Daniels.
Number 22, Shamar Wilson.
Shamar Wilson returning for the Mavericks, 22 in blue. This is a chance to push the lead back to 9, and Daniels will do so.
9-point lead, but the Mavericks are still 5 for the last 5 from field goals, so they've obviously, we mentioned it, they're starting to click here on offense.
They started 2 for 13. 5 for their last 5. There's the turnover they've avoided these last few possessions. Pleasant takes it away.
Joe Pleasant again, kind of the silent killer on the defense, facilitating a lot of these possessions, points off turnovers.
Loose ball into paint. Simmons got that back somehow. Under 5 until the first half break.
Good ball movement again by ACU. This is something they haven't wavered on even throughout their losing streak.
Step back long 2, Daniels. Rebound to Aaron Cash, the redshirt senior out of San Francisco. Cash was incredible, 6 threes against UTRGV in that win on Thursday night at home.
And that's really where they started to pick it up in that 2-game winning streak that we keep mentioning. They've been shooting a lot better. We saw a little bit of their shooting, and we're seeing it a little bit now as starting to get on target is this Mavericks offense.
Cash with 2, they got it to Wilson and 1! Shamar Wilson finishes right at the shot clock buzzer.
He's their leading scorer, and he demonstrates it right here. Kind of left open in the paint, and he's able to get that and 1.
That's his first of the game.
It's the foul on Ja'Shawn Jackson. You saw Daniels try to come over to take a charge as well on the help side with Cash, and then he's able to feed it to Wilson. The sophomore out of Arizona, transfer from Phoenix College. Second year Maverick. You mentioned a double-double machine that he is, rebounding and scoring, and just been incredible. He's finally into the scoring column tonight. Took him a little bit longer to get there than they would have liked.
Leads the team by rebounds, and it's not really close. He's got 80 on the next closest player on the roster, standing at 6'9". The sophomore means a lot to that offense.
8.5 per game.
And there's
next closest is 4.5. That's a... It's going to head the other direction. Daniels got tied up. A lot of chaos there with Gibson. Let's take a look.
Yeah, Daniels mentioned Tobias Cameron being a spark plug. How about this? He's not going to stop till that ball's his, and it never ends up being his. That's going to be a jump ball.
They calling a foul? That's a foul on Daniels.
Oh, well, I stand corrected.
The Mavericks in the bonus will be at the line.
Daniels first, and that's bonus time now.
For the Wildcats.
So it'll be a 1-and-1 coming up for Gibson. I wasn't sure if they were going to call a jump ball first, but they got a foul call. And so it's a 1-and-1 here for Kyron Gibson. Louisiana kid, first year with the Mavericks, junior. Spent some time at the JUCO level, Angelina College and Lee College. Had the 7th most assists in the entire country at the JUCO level last year. 206 in a season. That's just insane.
How about that? A lot of these JUCO products are making names for themselves, especially we were talking about the transfer portal era. That's a day and age that we live in, and the fluidity between these divisions has never been more so. And obviously Gibson an example of that.
Gibson good. Cut it to 4. They kind of survived the onslaught there from the Wildcats because they, I mean, a 19-2 run. I mean, just totally dominated. But back to a 4-point game. UTA's weathered the storm a little bit, and they're right in this thing.
Yeah, right in this thing. And we talked about how important getting off to a good start is for both of these teams. It's going to be even more important to finish well for both of these teams.
These two teams have made a combined 12 of their last 14 shots. Well, right on cue, the announcers jinx their Deba no good. And it'll be a foul to take us to a timeout. 4-point game, final 3:40 of the first half. For some wings.
Yeah, how about that?
Well, we're going to get you in there, Cohen,
Oh,
at some
are we?
point. Yeah.
No, I'm not a man enough for that.
Blazing Wings challenge. Makes me want some Buffalo Wild Wings.
Is that the hottest flavor? I think they're doing the hottest flavor.
I hope so. I wouldn't want it any other way. Hey, coming up, ESPN Halftime Report, Connor Mullins, Matthew De La Cruz in the studio. A look at the first half stats. Break down the first half with highlights and analysis as well. It's all coming up on the ESPN Halftime Report. The winner of the first half has to eat all the wings. I mean, that just, that looks,
it's a chore. Yeah.
Well, now we have the officials coming over, and they are actually gonna go to the replay monitor to look at.
They're watching.
video.
They're watching the wings.
They want to go look at the Blazing Wings challenge.
It was a close one. I think the middle guy won. He probably had the best technique.
So we're gonna replay who won.
He was.
Yeah, it's under review.
Well, he was game planning the best, is what it was.
So that's, we're not exactly sure what they are looking at.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Clock, maybe? I'm not sure exactly.
Well, we were talking about before the game and how ACU kind of needed a spark to get this going season-wise, and it felt like they hadn't coming into this one, going on that offensive tear, but the Mavericks have done a really good job, and they're playing a lot better basketball. Again, only a 4-point game.
Confirmed, we're getting from our producer, the middle guy won the challenge. So,
all right.
We're answering all the important questions. Here's Daniels for three. Abilene Christians got their 5th triple.
And Damian Daniels, he is a Swiss Army knife if I have ever seen one. 12 points, also leading the team in assists. He has been up and down the court getting and ones, and he is electric.
Make that the 3rd 3 for the game, and the first one outside of Simmons to hit one. Gibson will kick it. Down 7 now, the Mavs. Trying to get it to Wilson, the leading scorer on the team. You know, I was looking at that. Take a look at the replay first. This Daniels 3.
Damian Daniels just kind of able to sneak his way out into the corner there, wide open look, and he doesn't waste those. Damian Daniels is just a spark plug if I've ever seen one.
Just his 12th make from distance for the season. Meanwhile, you know, we're looking at Wilson, leading scorer on the team, not by a wide margin. They really spread there's a lot of guys that can contribute. And I mean, you're talking 6 guys with at least 6 points per game. It's not a team that scores a ton of points each night, but they do spread the wealth pretty well.
They do spread the wealth pretty well, which is what was so stunning coming out of the gate and seeing Gibson doing everything. But they've kind of started to equalize that as we've seen Wilson get on the scoring, Young get in on the scoring. Offensively, they're starting to spread the ball around more, and a lot of that is just due to the fact that these possessions, they've had the ball longer because they're not turning it over as much. We talked about how good they were on the rebounds, and now they're starting to get the turnovers in check, and we're reaping the rewards.
5-point difference here with the under 3. Zone for UTA. Allen, quiet first half, converts it. 2 for 3 from the floor, just hasn't taken a lot of shots, but he's got 4 points.
He makes them when he takes them. He wanted the foul there too, but didn't get it. Good looking shot from the leading ACU scorer on the season.
Aaron Cash on the attack. Tough finish. Tough first half for Cash, 0 for 3 from the field.
And we were talking about coming in how this is a must-win game, and it really looks like both these teams playing like it.
Hunter Jack Madden, no. Weaver rebounds.
Because we've seen bodies on the floor, we've seen balls rolling, we've seen jump balls being fought over. Damian Daniels was almost getting in a wrestling match down there on the other side of the court. So this is both teams playing with the presence of mind that this is a game that they need to win here in January.
Humphrey on a drive, and might have been a jump ball, I thought, but now it's out to Gibson. He almost hit his 4th 3.
Looked like Joe Pleasant, I think, was able to get his hand on that, prevent the shot.
That's his first miss from downtown. Started 4 for 4.
Wow. Joe Pleasant obviously bringing that to an end. And
14 of the 27 points for UTA tonight coming from Gibson. 7-point difference, a minute and a half to go here in this very fun first half. Started off very defensive, not a lot of points. Picking it up a little bit, Hunter Jack Madden, no. had a couple of looks.
It's been really streaky so far. We're approaching 3 minutes now where the Mavericks haven't scored a field goal, but they're coming off that huge offensive tear beforehand. So really streaky. A lot of these teams need to establish consistency. That's going to be the big talk in the locker room at halftime.
No field goals last 3 minutes now for UTA. Coming up on 60 seconds. Pleasant nearly got it. Wilson did. 3 on the timer. Gotta go. Gibson, why not? Shot clock violation. Had to throw that one up there that time.
Bit too strong there for Gibson. I guess he wasn't that lucky, but still, good job by this Mavericks team, making it a more manageable deficit. Obviously, any deficit's a bad deficit, but more manageable than what it was, especially coming out of the gates when the Wildcats started going on a tear here. But definitely some talk's going to need to be had in both locker rooms at halftime.
$15 to shoot it for ACU. Ali Diba on the attack. Good finish with the left hand.
And that's really, you could say that around the whole roster for the Wildcats. They've been finishing very well in the paint, whether it's Damian Daniels getting an and one. Emmanuel Allen had some very nice touches, and we see Diba right there able to get that one to go. Very good finesse from the Wildcats down low.
Final 10 seconds. One more look for these Mavericks, down 9. Humphrey try to go. He's going to have to potentially do it himself. No, Weaver will get one off, and that'll take us to halftime. Abilene Christian with the 9-point lead at 36-27. Abilene Christian 7-1 when they lead at halftime this season. Time for the ESPN Halftime Report. Connor, Matthew, guys, it's all yours.
ACU up 36-27 here at halftime. Connor Mullins alongside Matthew De La Cruz. ACU started out slow from the floor at the beginning of that half, able to pull away at the end. What did you see in that first half?
I saw a lot of Damian Daniels in that first half, Connor. Damian Daniels really came out, set the tempo for ACU, got their offense flowing. It was 1 for 1 from the three-point line, 3 for 4 from free throw, and 4 for 5 from field goal with 12 points on the night. He's really sparked this ACU offense and really sparking this ACU defense as well, providing some hustle, getting on the ground, playing gritty, playing a textbook definition of ACU basketball.
ACU uses that 15-0 run to take the lead here at halftime, 36-27, right after this break here in the ACU TV studio.
That's tough.
ACU up 36-27 at halftime against the UT Arlington Mavericks. ACU taking the 9-point lead heading into the locker room. Damian Daniels leading the way with 12 points in that first half. Connor Mullins alongside Matthew De La Cruz here in the studio for the ESPN Halftime Report. Matthew, once again, this is an ACU team. They get those points off of turnovers in that first half. That was huge. Shoot the ball really well, 52% to UTA's 33.
Yeah, ACU has really stepped in the game tonight and played really good defense. They have 12 points off turnovers, helping spark that early first half 19-3 run to get their offense kind of flowing. But UTA has not totally been quiet. Kyron Gibson for UTA has 14 points, shooting really well, shooting the lights out, 4 for 8 from the field, 4 for 6 from the three-point line, and 2 for 2 from the free throw line. So UTA not going away. Expect UTA to kind of stay in this game and keep fighting. But ACU, if they want to keep winning this game, they're going to have to count on Damian Daniels to get more points getting to the basket tonight.
And here's your first half stats brought to you by First Bank Texas, building strong homes, businesses, and friendships since 1880. ACU again shooting 15-29 from the floor, 3 for 9 from the three-point line, 12 rebounds, 5 turnovers to UTA's 11, 15 rebounds for the Mavericks, 4-11 from 3 for the Mavericks and shooting 8 of 24 from the floor. They were 0 for 5 to end that half. What do the Mavericks need to do to cut back into this ACU lead?
For the Mavericks tonight, if they want to cut back into this lead and have a chance to win the game, they have to limit turnovers. ACU forced 11 turnovers for the UTA Mavericks and only had 5 themselves. So if UTA wants to have an opportunity to win, they have to get a shot every possession, Connor.
It's been a fun first half. It'll be a fun second half in Moody. Connor Mullins alongside Matthew De La Cruz once again. This has been your ESPN Halftime Report.
Week in WAC Vegas. More teams, more games. The 2023 Hercules Tires WAC Basketball Tournament. March 6th through the 11th at the Michelob Ultra Arena and the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. For ticket information, go to wacsports.com.
The world needs more light bringers and courageous leaders who inspire us, game changers and risk takers who never play small, creative thinkers and God seekers who uplift us. You see, the future is ours to create. We hold it in our hearts. We mold it with our hands. We light the fire within.
I always dreamed of doing something that would make a difference, and so getting as much knowledge as possible was important to me. I love the fact that you can dream a new reality and then see it come true with hard work. Today, I know I'm making a difference, and a big part of seeing my dream come true was when I got my master's at ACU.
Get your undergraduate or graduate degree online at Abilene Christian.
For years, I trained to be the best linebacker on the field. That drive made me a top performer at the NFL Combine, and I played 5 seasons in the NFL. Now I'm working toward another dream, building my own business, training athletes to help improve their performance. I want to be the best businessman I can, so I'm getting my MBA at ACU.
Get your degree online at acu.edu.
Abilene Christian in front of UT Arlington, 36-27 at the half. Been a good first half of basketball. As we say, welcome courtside here at Moody Coliseum. Zach Carlisle with Cohen Carpenter. Entertaining first half. It really got off to kind of a slow start. There wasn't a lot going on in terms of offense and in terms of points. ACU goes on a big run. UTA kind of survives it. 9-point game in the first half here, and I think it's going to be a really fun second half.
Yeah, we were talking about this over the break, but it's been real streaky.
Right.
It seems like they're changing streaks when they want to do good on offense, when they want to do good on defense, and so far I think it's come down sort of in the favor of the Wildcats. Obviously they're at that 9-point lead. Mavericks definitely have the ability to turn the tide though.
Yeah, there's just been kind of some stretches of dry spells for UT Arlington as we take a look at the first half stats brought to you by First Bank Texas. Three-pointers really have just been kind of one-sided in terms of one person. Kyron Gibson has all 4 for UTA. The rebounds are big, but only 3 of those are offensive for UTA in the first half.
Which, if you're not familiar with this Mavericks team, that's big because that's really what they pride themselves on, is to keep those possessions alive. And you look at the turnovers down there too. That's really what has been the detriment and has led to that 9-point deficit for the Mavericks. They haven't been taking care of the ball, and when they're missing their shots, they haven't been getting it back. They got to turn those 2 things around if they want to overcome this 9-point deficit here in the second half.
You see the 11 turnovers, 12 points off of turnovers for Abilene Christian in the first half as well. You see Brett Tanner, his Wildcats getting ready for this start of the second half. For more on Coach Tanner, let's send it over to Joseph.
Hey, thank you, Zach. Thank you, Cohen. Hey, when the last 2 times these 2 teams met, it was ACU head coach Brett Tanner's first win as a head coach. It happened last season on November 16th, 2021, and it was a thriller. Emmanuel Allen hit a buzzer-beating 3 to send the game to overtime, and the Wildcats outscored the Mavericks 17-8 during that period and came out notorious on top, 80-71. Beating the UT Arlington Mavs, and now looks pretty good. And to say maybe Brett Tanner may go 2-0 against these UT Arlington Mavericks. Gentlemen, back to you.
Oh, Joseph calling his shot there, thinking that ACU's got this lead. You know, maybe they can hang on to it in the second half. I'm really curious, I think, about these first 4 minutes, this kind of first stretch of half number 2. UTA can try to cut into this 9-point deficit. Maybe ACU blossoms out here because ACU, you mentioned it, how good they are here in their home gym.
Yeah, we mentioned the first 3 and 4 points of the opening of this game, and that's when Wildcats really started to establish themselves as dominant on offense, looking to repeat that effort so far here in the second half. Mavericks looking to do the same as they are waiting to break the huddle here. Another interesting point about that game from last season, we mentioned that buzzer beater by Emmanuel Allen. That game also sparked an 11-game winning streak for the Wildcats. A lot of that in-conference play, looking to maybe repeat that effort in this season. They surely need it.
4 games in a row on the wrong end of for ECU. UTA starting to play some of their better basketball this year. Back-to-back wins. Started at New Mexico State a week ago tonight. The 66-55 win over the Aggies. The defending regular season and tournament champion New Mexico State Aggies, who haven't won a game yet this year in WAC play. A bizarre kind of look when you look at the standings. And then the win against UTRGV, 85 points. That's against a UTRGV team that scored 103 on ACU a couple of weeks ago.
I was about to say, that's going to be a really neat sample to kind of analyze because it's the same opponent and they perform so much differently in that game against the same opponent. So really areas of improvement were highlighted there, and I think that the Wildcats have capitalized so far coming onto this one.
Let's have a little fun here in the second half. ACU and UTA playing for the first time in Abilene since 1973. It's been a long time coming for 2 teams that really aren't that far apart distance-wise, just a few hours on Interstate 20. Opening possession of the second half. It is Shamar Wilson. It felt like it just took him a little bit to get going. Here he comes.
Yep, he was our impact player. When he can get things going, like you said, offensively and defensively. He leads this team in double-doubles. He's second in the WAC. Looking to repeat that effort.
Interior play, Joe Pleasant. And one first point to the night, number 32.
We were talking about the veteran experience on this team. Joe Pleasant definitely being one of those guys, sort of one of the unsung heroes on this roster. He gets it done on defense. We've seen his rebounding ability in this game, his stealing ability, and now his ability to get to the rim and draw fouls like he did just there.
You kind of talked about it during the intermission about maybe the limiting of the offensive rebounding for UTA has been because of what Joe Pleasant has done. He's really been the anchor. You kind of called it quietly taking control inside on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, and I really think that's a good way to describe it because Joe Pleasant, he's not going to be the Damian Daniels that's going to get the crowd on their feet, but he is going to facilitate those players and allow those plays to happen.
Can they go back door? Castro tried to. Simmons got his foot on it. It's a kick. I haven't talked a lot about Pedro Castro tonight, number 21 in blue, the grad student out of Fort Worth. He's back at UTA. He's kind of, him and Joe Pleasant have similar stories where they started with their team, went away. Castro's at a couple of different places. Now he's back with the Mavericks where it all began. Gibson is having a night. Kyron Gibson, he's in the story for UTA.
Yeah, that's his 16 points on the night, 16 of the 31 for the Mavericks. So far, they've been going as he goes. But there is Emmanuel Allen responding in kind. He's the leading scorer, getting it done for the Wildcats.
Who would have thought, you know, Allen 6, Pleasant just got on the board. Those guys have been kind of quiet tonight. Abilene Christian still with the 10-point lead. Here comes Gibson, trying to facilitate Castro, rise and fire. No, oh, look at this. Weaver trying to go for the one-hand put-back jam. Then there was contact, and it's a foul.
The idea was there. I think that would have been really cool had he did it properly, but gets the foul. Gonna get a chance for points here. Takes kind of a hard landing, Weaver does.
Weaver is the trigger man.
He almost had it.
Couple of minutes into the second half. UTA down 9 at the break, down 10 here. Aaron Cash pulls up, cannot buy one. He's 0 for 4. He still held scoreless after hitting 6 threes against UTRGV and dropping a career-high 20 points Thursday night.
Here comes Damian Daniels, seeing what he can do. So far leading the scoring for the Wildcats.
A little high-low, Allen to Cameron. Oh, look at that.
All right.
Stuck underneath.
You don't get points for that.
Replay ready.
That's
They got the foul first, otherwise that would have been a jump ball.
That's his second of the game, team foul number 2.
But yeah, we were talking about the lineups of these two teams, and we mentioned the Mavericks, how a lot of them score and they have a lot of players who are over 6 points on their roster. Same thing with the Wildcats. This is a team that has had multiple different starting rotations throughout the season, and they have 11 different players who have registered a double-digit game on that roster.
Timeout, UT Arlington, trailing by 10. First timeout of the second half in Abilene. Inside the huddle, Abilene Christian with a 10-point lead here in Moody Coliseum. Back in the building they've been waiting for a couple of years. They're back at the Moody Coliseum after 2 years over in the Teague Center. Just get a peek into this beautiful new facility put together.
It's really a great opportunity for the Mavericks to come here. I mentioned it's their first time in Abilene. They get a chance to experience Moody Coliseum in all of her glory.
Tobias Cameron is at the line. He's been in college since some players were born, I think. He's in his 6th year with Abilene Christian. It's unbelievable, the grad student. 132nd game played. It's been so much fun to watch him over the years develop, become the player that he has. Kind of started reserve, off the bench just a little bit, kind of changed. A little bit more of a presence off the bench, now a starter, and he's one of the biggest leaders on this team for Brett Tanner's squad.
Yep, and he's definitely making the most of his time here at ACU.
Pushes the lead to a dozen for Abilene Christian. It is their largest lead of the night. Here comes Aaron Cash on the attack. And Cash is, nothing's fallen for number 0.
Nothing's fallen for him, but that was a good ACU defensive effort. Arion Simmons looked like he may have tipped the ball before it went in right there. A little block there.
Little one-arm pass tapped out of bounds. Stays at this end. Cameron Steele checks in for Abilene Christian, as does Ali Neba.
Again, this is a team that is really good on both sides of the ball, and ACU, historically, the Wildcats, they've prided themselves on their defense. Did a good job here tonight, 11 forced turnovers.
Cash again, stolen.
Almost had another one right there, but the foul's called.
Foul on Cameron.
Foul called on the Wildcats on Tobias Cameron. That's his 3rd.
He's got 3 now for ACU.
Number 2.
Yeah, it may have been a foul, but it's still a productive play, I would say, just because you're reminding the Mavericks of how intense this defense can be and how hard it is to drive in the paint, especially when you got guys like Tobias Cameron on the court.
UTA hasn't turned it over yet in the second, well, until right now. That's their first turnover in the second half. They were just missing the shots. They'd avoided the turnover, but there's the offensive foul. Devon Wilson.
There's Tobias Cameron right there, able to get his feet set and take that charge. Takes a hard hit, but he'll take it if it gives him the ball back, and there's Arion Simmons.
No one tries to take charges probably more than Abilene Christian. It's a part of what they do every day. Brett Tanner telling us that, no, we want it. We try to make that happen. Hunter Jack Madden gets a 3. His first triple, he's got 5 points.
He was searching for it, and he found it. He's been trying to find that shot the whole game. He's been open for a few of those looks, just hasn't been able to get the ball to land, but we've kind of seen a turnaround all across the offense of the three-point shooting so far.
Gibson, his 3, no good. Daniels picks it up.
And again, this is the Mavericks offense, not able to get those offensive rebounds.
Simmons trying to bring the house down. Could not convert, but the lead is 15. We mentioned the first 4 minutes. Where does this thing go?
And it's really been a Wildcat onslaught, another turnover.
Diva nearly gave it back. 4.5 minutes in, Simmons pops and cans.
And this is what the Wildcats look like when they are clicking. This has been so sorely missed by Brett Tanner and that Wildcat squad over the losing streak, and they're finally getting into rhythm.
Timeout UT Arlington. They're having fun in Moody Coliseum.
The community at ACU TV is exceptional. I think it's what really sets it apart from other universities and other organizations just on ACU's campus.
Working at ACU TV, I have gotten so much great experience in all different aspects, whether that was just taking on leadership roles or just learning new things and really just jumping in and being hands-on with equipment.
So the first time I walked in here, I was a high school senior, but I walked in and I was blown away by the production and the level of production ACU was putting on. And so to see the amount of effort being poured into a sporting event at ACU on ESPN was huge. And so to see that as a high school senior sold it for me. I was like, yes, I'm gonna be at ACU because this is where I wanna be, this is where I can excel.
Coming to college and to know that you're making content for ESPN, that's unreal for students to come in and be able to get hands-on experience that quickly. It's a blessing.
I would have never thought that I would be doing things I'm doing now. If you said I was going to be on ESPN Plus and working with professional reporters and seeing all the stuff that goes into that, I would have called you crazy because I didn't think that freshmen got that opportunity. But here at ACU, everyone gets that opportunity, and it's awesome. And I think that's what sets us apart from other universities. At a young age, we allow people to get that experience, and you only get better from there.
Really not a lot of students across the world get to be able to do what we do here at ACU. If you want to be a journalism major, you want to be in sports broadcasting, this is the place for you. But you get the tools of what it's going to be like. You know, you want to work in Fox Sports, ESPN, those major networks one day, this is where you translate it. This is where you get that exact same experience. This is first class.
Abilene Christian on a 10-0 run and a 13-2 run in the last about 4 minutes. We talked about the start of the second half, how important that was going to be. It's been all ACU right now.
All ACU, and they're mimicking their efforts from the beginning of the game as we take a look at a few of these highlights that have got us to this point.
Shoot, it's too long. No, it's right here.
It's just been an offensive onslaught, and not only on the offense, but defense as well. We've mentioned the forced turnovers, and they have kept pouring it on defensively. They have really not given the Mavericks a chance to breathe. Attacking those passing lanes has done them wonders so far for the Wildcats.
You see it again right here, suffocating defense
That's
from Abilene
listed as,
Christian. Marion
camera one.
Humphrey, 55 in the game, turning and short with just 3 on that shot clock. Here comes ACU.
And again, even they're getting these rebounds too, which has really been a huge part of that Mavericks offense, is what's been keeping them going. They haven't had it.
ACU back to work. Deba, he's going to try to throw one up there.
Foul called on the Wildcats.
It's going to be called on Deba.
Offensive foul on Ali Deba.
That's his first of the game. Team foul number 3.
Brett Tanner was giving
I'd
the ref
like
a
to-
talking to right there.
I'd like to see that again. That was interesting.
I would too.
I don't know.
I'm trying to do a lip impression. John Boy trying to read Brett Tanner's lips over there. It's real funny.
That was interesting. I mean, Deba was a little
Yeah,
out of
that was
control, but
weird.
I don't know if there was somebody set there, and I wasn't sure exactly what that was. Brendan Talbot from downtown.
And that may be big. That may come back and be big because, again, we were talking about how much pressure this Wildcats were putting on, and now that led to the first Mavericks points in a while, kind of ended that scoring drought for them. So could be something to come back to later on in the game.
Simmons was attacking. ACU had to go through that pressure defense from the Mavs. 6 minutes into the second half. Simmons in the middle. Daniels hit a 3 earlier. Hits one again.
Daniels for 3.
And we did mention that he's not a great three-point shooter historically or career-wise, but tonight he has just found that within himself, and he's really getting it done.
Nice turn. Montez Young Jr. He's coming off of his career game as well against UTRGV. A little bit quieter tonight. However, there's Deba. A foul again. This time it's on the defensive side.
Took
It's on
a
Brandon
hard,
Walker.
took a hard fall there. I think he was just daring the ref to call him for another foul on that play right there. Nice Euro. And he's going to send him to the line for 2. Take a look at the replay.
Lead Deba for 2.
Not much with Walker, quite honestly.
Yeah, really not.
A little bit of a bump. Ali Deba, the Chicago State transfer, first year with the Wildcats. Just kind of better each time. Worked his way into the starting lineup for a little bit. Now coming off the bench again. Sophomore out of Sweden.
Yeah, we mentioned the versatility of this Wildcat roster, and Deba is just one of those examples of how they can get it done on the bench, off the bench, and how much they've rotated in those starters. Just how much potency is on that shot right there across the Wildcats offense.
8 points in 13 minutes for Deba tonight as he takes a seat. Humphrey and company back to work. Now Young made the turnaround earlier. Gibson at 14 at halftime. Just a couple here in the first 7 minutes of the half. That's Weaver and 1. Good finish and a delivery for Kendall Weaver.
Wildcats doing a great job of attacking those passing lanes, and that's how you defeat it right there. Knifing down the middle, get physical enough to get the shot to go and get you a trip to the charity stripe.
Yeah, you'll see him finish right here.
Yeah, he's creating offense all by himself right there.
Yes, sir.
But he cannot get the free throw to go.
16-point difference. ACU shooting 57% for the game tonight. Pleasant tapped out of bounds, stays here.
57% from 3 and 57 from the field and 46 from 3, which has really been a big turnaround. We mentioned this earlier in the game, but over that 4-game losing streak, they were shooting around 26, 27% from 3, and that's really where they lived and died by the 3. A lot of the guys on the team, like Cameron Steele.
Man, he hits one here. That's living by it. His first triple. ACU's 7th tonight.
Yeah, they're really changing it. It's a different complexion to this ACU offense for sure. If you've been following this team throughout the season, looking to hopefully continue these efforts as conference play continues.
Foul, Joe Pleasant at this end. As aggressive as the defense is, sometimes it leads to the foul calls. But there's Cameron Steele all nylon there.
I think a foul. I think those are a product of the physicality of the defense that we've seen from the Wildcats these past 3, 4, 5 seasons. This is what the Wildcats really build themselves on as a program, and the fouls are just kind of a byproduct of how you're going to play that. And I think they're willing to accept that.
I think it's kind of. It depends on how the game's called in a way.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to be referee dependent. That's an offensive foul. It's on Gibson.
Yeah, I definitely think that is it's something that they recognize as a defense, the fouls that they get, but they're willing to take it because the turnovers speak for themselves.
Cowboys,
so they've been kind of top,
take it just like it's
whatever in the country these last few years, usually about top 2.
Yep.
The country in forced turnovers, not as high this year. They also will be top 10, 15 in foul calls.
Yeah.
It's going to happen because of the way that Abilene Christian plays on the defensive side. This year, maybe it's been a little more foul than turnover.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they're not benefiting quite as much. Still their style of play. Loose ball. Hunter Jack Madden went and got it. Little bit of a transition. Look at a charge. Taken by Humphrey. He was able to get in position there. After that play, got all kinds of chaos going.
Yeah, that was much to the displeasure of the ACU bench right there.
Timeout on the floor. Abilene Christian by 19. UTA trying to make a comeback. Abilene Christian in front by 19 over UT Arlington. 12 minutes to go here in the second half. Let's check in with Joseph Champa on the sideline.
Well, gentlemen, what a night Damian Daniels for ACU has had, am I right? For Damian Daniels has already set a new season high for himself. 15 points, 5 of 6 from the field. Perfect from three-point land, 2 of 2 from deep. And get this, we know that he's on career record watch for the all-time steals record, but how about setting a new career high in points? Daniel's career high is 17 points, and that was set against Longwood on December 22nd, 2021. And now he's at 15 points, 2 shy of tying that. So let's see if Damian Daniels can get more involved on the offensive end to make some records.
Joseph, thank you. Yeah, his 149th career game at ACU. Hit that 800-point plateau.
I mean, the way he's been shooting the 3 ball, he's just 1 shot away from setting that career record in points in a game.
Cash for 3, they needed that. Aaron Cash, welcome to Abilene, his first points of the night, and they needed it.
Yeah, I mean, how good does that have to feel right there for Aaron Cash, finally getting out of that slump, especially, and there's no better time for it. Obviously, you wish you could have had that shots earlier, but out of it now with 11 minutes left.
Basketball's that humbling game, right? I mean, he's unstoppable Thursday night, spectacular performance, career high 20, and then just nothing's falling. And if that looked in rhythm, was able to step up, drain it. Back to a 16-point difference. But how does UTA get back in this game?
Yeah, we're talking about how this is a game of streaks, and that's certainly what it's been. And I mean, no simpler way to put it, but they need to get on one of their own streaks here. We've seen it start the game, and they just need to take care of the ball and get offensive rebounds. That's how they lived and died so far this season. That's how they lived and died so far this game.
Simmons missed inside. Now they go to Wilson here. 5 in a row for UTA to try to get us comeback sparked a little bit, down by 14. And it may start at this defensive end for these Mavericks as well, with a little bit of backcourt pressure.
Yeah, maybe taking a page out of the Wildcats notebook here and getting into those passing lanes, forcing more of those turnovers, really forcing the Wildcats to stay vigilant on offense, not giving up any easy points.
Simmons gonna take it. He's got it, long 2. Double digits, 11 now for Arion Simmons.
He's such a versatile scorer, and he demonstrates it right there. Obviously, he's been getting it done from three-point land. Gets it done from within the arches as well. Not a lot you can do against that man.
Foul on Abilene Christian. It's on Joe Pleasant.
We need to have that. We need to get a commercial.
His second
for that
personal.
on our network.
Gibson's coming back in for UTA. They may need a couple more long balls from number 4. Free throws are coming here. This is bonus time now. with the 7th team foul on ACU, so it's Marion Humphrey.
It's good to have Gibson back in the game for the Mavericks, but I feel like whenever we've been talking about these streaks that they've been on, whenever they've been going on these good scoring streaks, it hasn't just been Gibson that has been in on the offense. It's really been sharing the ball around. We've seen Cash start to get into it. We've seen Wilson start to get a few looks. We've seen Young get some looks down in the paint. So Gibson, it's good to have him back in. It's good to have that shooting ability, but you're also going to have to incorporate your whole roster if you want to overcome this deficit.
Like a guy like Marion Humphrey makes a couple of big free throws. 14-point difference, Abilene Christian in the second half as we approach the halfway point of this busy doubleheader day here in Abilene.
Wait, the Eagles really just played the Giants back
Simmons
to back.
turning, scoring again, 4 in a row for Simmons.
We talked about how he gets it done from everywhere. That time had a little help. Tobias Cameron, nice pass to set him up. Open look, jump shot, and he's not missing that.
Reaching on Hunter Jack Madden. So free throws coming for Kendall Weaver. Kendall, C-H-E-N-D-A-L-L.
How about that?
His sister Kennedy, C-H-E-N-N-E-D-Y. So fun player to watch. This true freshman. Just 4 points tonight, but he's really been good this year.
Yeah, and we're talking about the Mavericks getting back into this thing. Weaver's definitely going to be a big part of it. We've seen him taking shots from the corner. He's had some wide open looks that he wish he could have had back, but he's going to be a big part. If the Mavericks come back and win this thing, he's going to be a big part of it.
Pleasant. Wasn't sure if he would pull the trigger on the 3. He's open again for just a second. Simmons will pop it. Oh, he's got a 4-point play chance. Nothing but nylon.
What is there to say? Arion Simmons, he's playing one of his best games right now, and really at the point in the season when the Wildcats need him most. Take a look at that replay right there. He gets bumped when he's coming down. If your landing is infringed, that's going to be a foul call every time. Arion Simmons going to the line here. Chance for the rare 4-point play-in. I mean, how about this?
This team goes as number 23 goes. We've been told quite a bit over the last few years. He's kind of the motor for Abilene Christian.
He has like the last 10
And he has now a new season high with 17 points. 4 triples tonight. A big-time performance from Arion Simmons.
And we talk about the playmakers all over that offense, and we've been talking about Damian Daniels and how good he has been in this game, and then we can just as easily highlight a performance like Arion Simmons having a career night.
Kendall Weaver pulling up and scoring. We talked about how much they're going to need number 1. That was smooth.
Starting to get into a little back and forth here between the Mavericks and the Wildcats, but if you're the Mavericks, you can't afford a back and forth. You got to start stepping it up on defense, forcing a few errant shots.
Attacking the middle of the zone, Tobias Cameron, nothing there. The rebound to Wilson.
And that's the blueprint right there for the Mavericks.
Weaver again. Well, it's been Arion Simmons' show for ACU here lately. For more on that, here's Joseph.
Completely agree. ACU goes as number 23 goes, and already 17 points tonight. The Abilene Christian leading scorer has already set a new season high for himself, but he hasn't scored in double digits since New Year's Eve of last calendar year. And again, ACU wants to make a run in this season, wants to, of course, make a run in the WAC Vegas tournament, and Arion Simmons is going to be a big indicator whether they win and make it big or they lose and go home early. Well, we'll see how ACU goes and see if Arion Simmons can stay consistent throughout the middle of the season. Guys, back to you.
The second conference game against Tarleton, December 31st. Humphrey back in for UTA as they just try to hang around. Down 16. They have got to get some stops on the defensive end here.
Yep, and then we see the defensive look here, kind of getting into that press look. trying to get in those passing lanes. Again, they can't not afford a back and forth. They could earlier in the game, but not now, getting down to the wire.
Pleasant inside.
Joe Pleasant finally getting his name called, recognized for some. We were talking about how he's been kind of the silent hero for this team.
It's like a sneaky, brilliant game for Joe Pleasant.
Yeah, and there he is again.
Just getting on the floor. Here comes Abilene Christian.
The fumble recovery.
That's right. Cameron Steele lines one up.
The Wildcats can do no wrong. Everything they have thrown in the air seems to find the bottom of a net.
Ooh, Marion Humphrey slow to get up, takes us to a timeout. Abilene Christian up 21. The 2023 Hercules Tires WAC Basketball Tournament takes place March 6th through the 11th at the Michelob Ultra Arena and the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. For more information on the road to WAC Vegas, visit wacsports.com. Crazy to think we're already thinking about this tournament that's coming up in about a month and a half, because we are about to turn the page to sort of the back half of the season here, a couple of weeks away from February picking it up.
Yeah, and we were talking about the importance of these conference games, and really that's not in terms of making it to the tournament. Most of the teams are going to make it to the tournament. It's going to come down to seeding, and especially when a lot of these teams are going to look at these head-to-head matchups, and that's why winning these, we were talking about, this is almost a must-win game, which is odd to say in January, but it's almost a must-win game, and that's because it's going to come down to seeding, where you're going to be in the tournament, and it's going to ultimately determine how good of a shot you have at winning the whole thing.
I think a lot of talk has been made about what the WAC's doing with the whole resume seeding situation, and really, again, it comes down to the pure standings to determine the 12 teams in WAC Vegas. Then the seeding after that comes down to kind of your ranking in this whole system that they have developed. So it does get a little, there's some intricate work there to be done, but it does come down to which 12 teams are going to go. And this is a big one tonight with Abilene Christian at 1-5 in league play and UT Arlington at 2-5, having won back-to-back games. 7 on the timer. Cash a little bit short.
Well, Damian Daniels flying out of nowhere again. We've called his name a few times tonight, but at 5'9", leading the team so far in rebounds, and we've talked about how much that those boards can affect a game, and he's been getting them.
Pleasant kept the pivot. No, he didn't. To turnover. Turn it over for the 9th time for Abilene Christian tonight. You know, they pulled away, all of a sudden up 21, largest lead. What's impressed you the most about how ACU's done this thing here in the second half?
It is how quickly they have come out of this slump and how quickly they have overturned the trends that brought them into this slump. Over that road game, it was brutal. You're watching those games if you're a Wildcats fan, and the shooting, it was just miserable. You're affording the other teams a lot of time, and they weren't getting the ball back. They've definitely turned the page. They've learned from that, and they're moving on.
Shamar Wilson inside. Nice feed as well from Gibson. Finish that off, get it back to a 19-point difference.
And I wonder how much of that is a return to Moody, a return to the fans here in Abilene. Mentioned that Abilene juice, and they've definitely had it here tonight. How much of that overturning the trends can be due to the fact that now they're seeing some familiar faces, they're in a familiar building, and they're finding their own now on the court.
Turnover on Abilene Christian. Damian Daniels came up a little hobbling after that. Ran it off, literally, down to the other end of the floor.
As he does.
Do the Mavericks have one last run in them? Tough to do on the road in this league. Gibson really got a lot colder as this thing went along. Cash rims out again.
Yeah, Ball's just not agreeing with Cash tonight, and I think he knows it. He knows that he's got some shooting to work on, and a few of these shots have been open. And maybe it's a closer game, obviously, and then you could say this around the whole roster is they've had a few of these shots, and especially when you're not capitalizing as much on the offensive rebounds and turnover side of things, those shots become more important.
Cameron Steele, another one from the outside for the big fella. He's got a trio of triples.
I think if a Wildcat threw a medicine ball up in the air, it'd somehow make it into the net right now. The way things are going, Cameron Steele, Arion Simmons, Damian Daniels, everyone is shooting and everyone is scoring.
Steele's got 13. Turning, Wilson couldn't get it, gets it back, blocked, foul first.
There's shouts here in Abilene calling for an offensive foul.
They were looking for that first on that, and then they got the foul here.
Tobias Cameron got a good chunk of his hand right there.
Free throws coming for Shamar Wilson.
Shamar Wilson not having a horrible game by any means, but he is one of the foundational pieces of this UT Arlington team. Just kind of expecting him to do more. Coming in, he was one of the impact players, and every chance that he's got, he's capitalized, but he just hasn't taken a lot of those chances.
And Hunter Jack Madden.
So far, though, he's doing what's expected at the free throw line. That's his first miss of the night right there. And
no
second
good at the
miss
foul line. Jump ball after the miss. Off it goes to ACU.
Re-entering for the Mavericks, number 55, Marion.
Wildcats now officially in burn clock mode, and UT Arlington officially in get the ball back mode. A large hump to overcome here now, 73-51, 5:10 left.
That pressure continues from UTA. It just hasn't created enough problems. The 10 turnovers for ACU, 17 points off of. This hasn't been disruptive enough to be a difference maker tonight.
Yeah.
Foul here, free throws coming.
And again, that's not what you're really expecting them to do, though, coming in. If you're a Mavericks fan, that's not really, they're not the disruptive on the same level as the Wildcats are. And we've talked about this, but they're good when they have offensive rebounds and when they keep the ball security, when they keep it with them, and they just haven't done that tonight, kind of shied away from their normal performances.
Emmanuel Allen at the line. 7 points tonight, 15 minutes. Been in a little foul trouble. It's kept his minutes down. That's where you've seen Daniels and Simmons take over. And
just about to say, that's when the versatility of the roster comes into play, and you've got so many people that are so good at scoring. When Emmanuel Allen, your leading scorer, in foul trouble, really no worries to Brett Tanner. He's got replacements.
It's Gibson a look. Boy, I mean, you're talking 14 in the first half, just 2 points in the second half for Gibson. Step back Weaver. At the end of the day, UTA shooting below 40% for the game. The shots really, I mean, you can talk all these other things and what has happened tonight. They just aren't making shots.
Yep, and that was the biggest note when you're looking at the box score of their two games, as Gibson drives, and it's going to be a foul on that one. As you look at the last two games, they're coming off those wins. That's the biggest note of what did they do to upset. A lot of those two games may be considered upsets. What did they do to get those wins? And it was their shooting percentages, very high, season highs, and tonight it just hasn't been the same case.
Free throws are on the way. Kyron Gibson, junior out of Louisiana. JUCO All-American. First year playing for Greg Young in this UT Arlington squad. Had a good season, 10 points a game, just a tick underneath it. Time's running out though for UTA, down by 21.
UTA over 4 in the last field goals.
Pleasant jump stops, scores it off the window. Near steal from Simmons. This place would have went insane had he gotten his hand on that. Timeout on the floor. We got the final 4 minutes to go. Abilene Christian on their way to an important win to snap the 4-game skid.
The community at ACU TV is exceptional. I think it's what really sets it apart from other universities and other organizations just on ACU's campus.
Working at ACU TV, I have gotten so much great experience in all different aspects, whether that was just taking on leadership roles or just learning new things and really just jumping in and being hands-on with equipment.
So the first time I walked in here, I was a high school senior, but I walked in and I was blown away by the production and the level of production ACU was putting on. And so to see the amount of effort being poured into a sporting event at ACU on ESPN was huge. And so to see that as a high school senior sold it for me. I was like, yes, I'm gonna be at ACU because this is where I wanna be, this is where I can excel.
Coming to college and to know that you're making content for ESPN, that's unreal. For students to come in and be able to get hands-on experience that quickly, it's a blessing.
I would have never thought that I would be doing things I'm doing now. If you said I was going to be on ESPN Plus and working with professional reporters and seeing all the stuff that goes into that, I would have called you crazy because I didn't think that freshmen got that opportunity. But here at ACU, everyone gets that opportunity, and it's awesome. And I think that's what sets us apart from other universities. At a young age, we allow people to get that experience, and you only get better from there.
Really not a lot of students across the world get to be able to do what we do here at ACU. If you want to be a journalism major, you want to be in sports broadcasting, this is the place for you. But you get the tools of what it's going to be like. You know, you want to work in Fox Sports, ESPN, those major networks one day, this is where you translate it. This is where you get that exact same experience. This is first class.
Under 4 to go tonight as we wrap it up from Abilene, Texas. ACU in front by 23 points. Zach Carlisle with Cohen Carpenter and the gang. What's coming up for UTA? Back home for California Baptist, Tarleton and Sam Houston. Big to get 3 in a row at home as they open up the month of February with a couple back-to-back at home and then at UTRGV, who they just played on Thursday. Tobias Cameron converting for ACU as this kind of onslaught continues here in the second half. They've outscored UTA 42-26 in the second half.
Yeah, and we're talking about UTA's upcoming schedule, and it's going to be really important. We were talking about coming into this game, how these were two teams that were sort of in the same position, but they got there in different ways. Now, UTA is going to need, especially over that homestand, going to need to win a few of those games.
How about Abilene Christian? What's coming up for these Wildcats? Big one. Grand Canyon is in town next week. And then Utah Tech to wrap up the month of January. Then the road trip all the way up to the Pacific Northwest to Seattle and out to California to open up February. It just doesn't get easy in this league, no matter what. I mean, top to bottom, this league is really, really stacked.
Yep, and I know the Wildcats are thankful to have these 3 games in a row back at Moody, get their rhythm back. They've certainly got it back tonight. They're shooting almost 60% from 3-point, and we were talking about how that was a big cause of the losing streak coming into tonight. So it's going to be good to get their rhythm back here at Moody before they go on that road trip you mentioned.
Marion Humphrey was hobbled a little bit earlier coming off the floor, turns around and drops one home. You know, his brother played in Wild Card Weekend last week. Marlon Humphrey, the name might sound familiar, cornerback for the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
So, to see the Humphrey brothers.
Yeah, how about that?
What a game that was, by the way, that wild card game, Baltimore and Cincinnati last week.
Yeah, it was a great wild card weekend.
Awesome. Wilson on a move. Foul call off the window, trying to go in. It's a foul on Leonardo Bettiol for Abilene Christian, number 3 in gray, into the game. 2.5 minutes to go. ACU on their way, up 23. Wilson will shoot a pair. With 2:34 to go. Second one coming up as well. There's a peek behind the curtain. Nice to have the full gang back. Students are back on campus. We got everybody back at the studio now. We didn't do this these last couple of weeks. It was just kind of Hutton hanging out in there, so it's nice to have the gang doing a fantastic job this doubleheader day here on ESPN Plus. Second free throw rattles out.
.225 to go. I think if you're the Mavericks and you're looking ahead and what to improve upon, obviously you don't want to replicate this performance going ahead in conference as Tobias Cameron adds on to the lead right there. I think what you gotta come away with here is an important lesson is to take care of the ball and to get back to your fundamentals, which has always been offensive rebounds, affording your offense more times because they haven't, historically this season, they haven't been great at making shots. The shooting percentage is not what they hang their hat on. They hang their hat on missing that shot and then getting the rebound and putting up another shot, and they haven't done that tonight.
Weaver, nothing. This is going to be a much happier group of Wildcats.
Yep, it should be.
4-game losing streak. You just feel like you're close. You know, a couple of games got away from them big.
Yeah, it was really big.
But
including that UT-RGV game, which is one of the sample size we were talking about. Both of these teams playing UT-RGV.
I think this was the performance they were looking for in turn as Humphrey buries a three. The performance they were looking for on the defensive end, maybe more than anything else. 61 points tonight.
And I think that's really indicative of how this Wildcat team goes. Is we're going to get a lot of subs here in the final minute 16. It's really indicative is the offense moves as the defense moves. And we've mentioned the offensive performance so much here tonight. But the defense performance, we mentioned the guys like Joe Pleasant, Tobias Cameron, Damian Daniels, diving all over the floor, getting steals, getting rebounds, and facilitating a lot of those offensive possessions, a lot of those highlights. And that's really what the Wildcats hang their hat on as a team is defense that leads to offense. They've done a good job here tonight.
9-point difference at halftime. The foul here.
Yeah, this was a close game at one point.
We just said, however the first 4 minutes go is how this game's going to go. And Abilene Christian blew this thing out to a 16, 15-point lead 4 minutes into the second half, and they've coasted ever since.
They haven't looked back, and I think that's really good if you're Brett Tanner. That's something really hopeful. You talk about the mentality of this team. We were talking about how close-knit they were. We're talking about how seniority, how old they are, and a lot of these guys have been together with each other for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and how much that helps a team in terms of building camaraderie when you're down in tricky situations, when you're only up by 9 points at halftime and building a huge lead. The trust that you got to have in your teammates right there, that definitely shows it.
Final minute coming up. Gibson turning around and splashing it home. 20-point game for Gibson. He's got now a new career high. It's been really good from the jump tonight. Kyron Gibson out of bounds. Colby Tanner turnover.
Yeah,
50 seconds.
Gibson's been obviously the biggest bright spot for that Maverick offense. That's going to be something they emphasize going forward in the season, maybe feeding him the ball a little bit more when some of their other players are having off nights. But again, this is a very talented team. We've mentioned that. They've got guys like Weaver and Humphrey who can all pick up offensive production.
Inside, no. The putback, yes, for Dario Domingos, the sophomore out of Angola.
Turnover there, JVC.
UTA getting it back. Humphrey, corner three, 25 seconds.
Marion Humphrey.
No shot clock now. So ACU can potentially hold this thing out unless UTA decides to foul. Well, out of bounds. It'll stay here. 12 seconds.
UTA, it'll stay with the Wildcats.
I mean, it's almost hard to express how big this win is for ACU. Is season saving? You know, that might not be the right word.
Yeah.
That might be a little too extreme.
Season
but
correcting.
It's a big one.
Season correcting, I think. It's something that it reoriented their focus. And I don't know if it was as much as this game or if it was the losing streak that they went on coming into this game that really maybe changed the priorities of this team. Had Brett Tanner take some time to reflect on what was working, what wasn't, changes that needed to be made in the roster, in the game plan. Whatever it was, it came together tonight. Huge victory over a conference opponent.
84-68 the final. Abilene Christian over UT Arlington. Not only do they snap the 4-game losing streak, you saw Daniels with a nice game. Arion Simmons kind of back on track. We see ACU all the time. We do all of their games. That felt like Abilene Christian basketball tonight.
Yeah, it really did. And we were talking about, we mentioned this before, how we can go from saying how great Damian Daniels is, singing his praises, and then immediately going over to Arion Simmons, singing his praises. He ended up leading the team in scoring with 17 tonight. We mentioned that that's a season high for him. Tobias Cameron ended up leading the team in rebounds. He was our impact player. He's a spark plug, and he demonstrated again tonight. Again, production across the roster from the Wildcats, and that's something that Brett Tanner really loves to see.
UT Arlington, this team's going to be fine because I really think they were playing some good ball coming into this. Obviously, schedule doesn't get easier, but look, sometimes you just run into a juggernaut tonight, and that might have been what happened. They just they came out, tried to keep it close. ACU, their defense locked them down. The ball didn't seem to fall at times for UTA, but I do think this team's going to be fine because they're young and talented.
Yep, and this is definitely the win that they needed going into the rest of conference. Few games in Moody, and then they've got a really, really tough road trip, as you mentioned. And this is definitely a very hopeful performance for Wildcat fans watching this game, watching the offense, watching the defense, and just a great all-around team game. Everyone got involved. Damian Daniels, Arion Simmons, Tobias Cameron, all across the roster. Good game.
Stay with us. We're going to get Damian Daniels for our Player of the Game post-game interview coming up, but they're taking the picture first. This kind of new tradition, the post-game selfie that they take. They want all the fans to come on down and celebrate a win. You see Brett Tanner in the corner of your screen and everybody here in the arena. And going to try to get Damian Daniels for the Player of the Game interview as they have this kind of new tradition. Well, we got Damian's attention, and he's going to turn the corner. He's going to take Cohen's headset. He's going to come talk to us. It's Abilene Christian with a 16-point victory. For Daniels tonight, by the way, 15 points, couple of big threes, 7 assists, 6 rebounds. What a night for the fifth-year senior as ACU wins it 84-68. You see him coming. I love the behind-the-scenes shot of him coming and putting the headset on and joining us for the post-game interview, our player of the game, Damian Daniels. Congratulations on the win, Damian.
Thank you.
How does it feel to get back in the win column? This felt just massive tonight for you and the guys.
I think it was good. Nobody likes losing. We don't lose around here. We don't like losing. So to get back in the win column, we feel good.
UTA has been playing some good ball too. This is a good team, 2 straight wins. They do a lot of things well. What did you feel like coming in? We got to do these things correctly to win the game here too.
I feel like we got to match their toughness because they play tough. Also, they're good on the glass. They can rebound, things like that. So I feel like we need to match that to come out with the win.
Over these last 4 games, and then you come into tonight, did it kind of feel like you got things kind of back on track? Did it feel like you were playing Wildcat basketball again out there tonight?
Yeah, we had a different type of swag to us today. Definitely that we haven't had in the last week or two. So yeah, it definitely felt like we was playing Wildcat basketball, but we're not done yet.
You were in there scoring, hit a couple of big threes on the outside to celebration there after some of those big shots. How did you feel offensively out there on the floor?
I felt comfortable. I just trust my work. I put in a lot of work this week just because we've been back home. We had 3 road games. We're back home, so just trusting my work, and it felt good out there today.
What does tonight do for you guys moving forward?
It gives a confidence boost. Like I said, our swag is back a little bit. It felt good, and I feel like our team is going to do better now.
Congratulations, Damian. Thanks
you.
for joining us. Abilene Christian winners 84-68 over UT Arlington. This has been a presentation of the Western Athletic Conference on ESPN. Zach Cohen and the gang saying so long. Take care. Good night from Abilene, Texas.